Hello there, this is Josh Golding. I am your instructor for the online ethics course. And what I'm going to do in this relatively short video is simply walk through the syllabus and talk a little bit about the Moodle page for this course and some of the requirements for the course. A lot of the material on the syllabus is self-explanatory. I hope that the Moodle page is basically self-explanatory. But I'm going to walk through the syllabus. Some of this may be quite obvious from just reading the syllabus, but maybe not. And I encourage that if you have any questions or thoughts or comments about anything on the syllabus or on the Moodle page, that you will be in touch with me either by email or by calling me on my cell phone. So let's begin. I hope you have the syllabus in front of you. This is Philosophy 301, Ethics. My name is Dr. Josh Golding. On the syllabus, you'll see that I have my personal cell phone number there. Please feel free to make use of the cell phone. Text me, call me if you need to. Got my email address on there. My virtual office hours are basically by appointment. I do try to reserve Monday between 11 and 12 in the morning as a time when I'm available to chat or speak to you, but it's probably a good idea to just, if you want to speak to me at some time, text me, call me, and we can arrange a time to be in touch with each other. Of course, the class is completely online. We don't meet in person. The lectures for this class will all be posted on the Moodle page for this course, so it's absolutely crucial that you're able to access the Moodle page for the class. Now, you're going to watch the videos at your own convenience, but I do have a sort of a plan or a schedule that I think would be a good idea for you to sort of keep pace with the material. It may turn out that we have some sessions that are on Microsoft Teams, not in person, of course, but live. We're going to see, we'll play that by ear. If there is a driving need or we feel that it would be a good thing for us to meet live together as a group, then we may very well do that. However, I'm not going to make that a requirement that anybody meet live with everybody else. So that's something we'll be playing by ear. If that comes up, we'll be in communication about that by email. Moving down on the syllabus, you have the course description from the catalog. This course investigates different philosophers' views of the good, what is the goal of human life and action, to try to arrive at a better understanding of what is the best foundation for moral or virtuous conduct. We're going to examine the relationship between the good and morality. We're going to talk about whether there is what's called an objective ground for morality, or whether it turns out that, as some philosophers would believe, morality is subjective. It's a matter of custom or culture relative to certain times and places. We're also going to explore a little bit the connection between views about God and morality, or the opposite, atheistic views about God and morality, how those work together. The point of a class is ultimately to help ourselves grow in our understanding and appreciation of what ethics is, or as I say, morality, ethics, same thing. What is a virtuous life? And in particular, if we scroll down a little bit on the syllabus, you'll see that this course is going to focus on 4 major issues. These are not the only issues that we'll be focusing on in this class, but these are the 4 major issues that we'll be dealing with. So, number 1, the foundation of morality. By that I mean, what is the foundation? What is the basis of morality? We all have ethical or moral beliefs. I would presume that all of us believe that, murdering innocent people is wrong. We believe that cheating is wrong. We believe that compassion is good. We believe that there are certain character traits that are morally praiseworthy and certain character traits that are morally to be discouraged or morally blameworthy. So we think that cruelty is a bad thing, compassion is a good thing, charity is a good thing. On the other hand, theft is a bad thing. So we have beliefs about what we think is moral or ethical. And in this class, I do use the terms morality and ethics interchangeably. Whatever ethics is, we have ethical beliefs, moral beliefs. Question number one here is, what is the basis of morality? Where does morality come from? Does it come from God? Does it come from reason? Is it through reason that we can determine and understand that certain things are morally right or morally wrong? What is the foundation of morality? Is it something that comes from emotion, something that comes from passion? So we'll be exploring different philosophers' views about these very important questions. Now, a second theme that we'll see throughout the course is that there is a sort of a debate between moral relativism and moral universalism. These are two views that some philosophers have about morality or ethics. The question here is morality simply a matter of the culture or society that one is born into or in which one lives? If the answer is yes, that would be moral relativism. Okay, moral relativism is the view that what's moral depends on where you live. If you live in one place at one time, well, then morality consists in, let's say, a certain set of rules. On the other hand, if you live in another place at another time, well, then morality can be completely different. So the moral relativist is the person who believes that, yes, that's true. Morality can shift from time to time, from place to place. The alternative is that perhaps there are objective moral truths that in some sense apply to everybody, all human beings, at all times, at all places, regardless of their culture, regardless of where or when you live. So if a person believes that, they would be called a moral universalist. Okay, moral universalism, we'll talk about this more as we get into the class, but moral universalism is the view that what's moral or ethical is the same or should be the same for all humans at all times, at all places. So for example, a moral universalist believes that, let's say if we think it's immoral to murder innocent people, then murdering innocent people is wrong for all humans at all times, at all places. According to the relativist, that might not necessarily be true. It might be that only in certain cultures or at certain times or at certain places is it the case that it is moral or immoral to, let's say, kill innocent human beings. So this is one of the questions we'll be investigating. Another issue that is going to be discussed in this class, and again, different perspectives from different philosophers that we have a look at, is the question of moral motivation. Moral motivation, what does that mean? The question here is why? What is the motivation for behaving morally? Why should we be moral? Especially when it seems like, in some cases, behaving morally conflicts with our self-interest, or at least our perceived self-interest. Okay, there may be many times when doing the right thing is fun and enjoyable, and it fits with what you really want, but it seems like on some occasions the moral thing to do, what's moral, is going to be not in your self-interest. And so then the question arises as to what is the motivation for behaving morally, especially in those cases. A related issue here is, what is the relationship between morality and happiness? Actually, the nature of happiness itself is a good question. What is human happiness? What does happiness consist in? Can we be mistaken about our own happiness? Some philosophers believe that we can have a false conception of what we think is going to make us happy. We could be mistaken about our own happiness. We can even think that we're happy when we're not. That in and of itself is an interesting question. Can we be mistaken about what we think happiness is? Or if I think that's what happiness is for me, then that is what happiness is for me. In any event, question here is, what is the relationship between morality and happiness? Do they go together? Do they conflict sometimes? Can it be the case that doing what's moral is not necessarily going to be what makes us happy? This is the question of the relationship between morality and happiness. Another issue we'll be exploring here and there as we go through the course is the question of religion and morality. What is the relationship between religious perspectives and morality? Some religious people think that morality is based on God. After all, if God created the world, if everything depends on God, then morality depends on God. If we don't believe in God, or we think that, yes, maybe there's a God, but could there be some alternative as to what morality is based on? But then what would that be? So question here is, what is the relationship between religion and morality? Do they have to go together? Do they not have to go together? Does morality require God as a foundation for its existence? If there is no God, does that mean that, well, basically we do whatever we want to do, and there's no reason to not do whatever we want to do? Again, these are questions that we'll be exploring as we go through the material in this class. So those are some of the, as I say, 4 major issues. We'll be talking about other issues as we go along. What's the methodology for this class? The method of the class is we're going to be reading and studying selections from the great philosophers of Western philosophy. We're not going to do many philosophers in this class. We're going to do a selection of some of the great philosophers' works on what they had to say about morality or ethics, or as some of the ancient philosophers would have said, what is virtue? Virtue is good character. What is virtue? Why should we be virtuous? What is virtue based on? So we're going to be reading selections from classic texts, and I'm going to be lecturing about the material that's in the readings, and then you're going to be doing some written work based upon the lectures and based upon the readings. You're going to be doing some written work. That's going to be your assignments. And in those assignments, you will demonstrate your familiarity with the texts, with the material that was communicated in the lecture, and also hopefully in your written work, you will be expressing your own opinion, your own evaluation of the claims and arguments that the philosophers that we've studied have to say. So the way it's going to work is that there will be 2 major assignments that you have to do, plus class participation. I'll talk about class participation in a minute, but there will be 2 papers that you have to write for this course. A midterm paper, and the midterm paper is going to cover the material from the first few weeks of the class, and the final paper will cover the material that we do after the midterm of this class, essentially, okay? So the final paper will not be a cumulative paper, but it will be a paper that focuses largely on the latter material that we do in the latter half of this class. The class participation aspect of this class participation. How do you participate in a class which is totally online? Well, the way you're going to do that is, as you're going through the material, as you're going through the lectures, as you're going through the readings, if you have a question, if you have a thought, if you have a comment, if there's something that occurs to you that you'd like to share with your instructor, so email me a comment or a question, and that will count as class participation. It will show me that you are reading the reading or listening to the video lectures, and it will show me that you're involved in the class in that way. So that's class participation. There's no specific requirement of how many times I'm expecting you to email me a question or a comment, but some email of some question here and there, maybe once or twice a week, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, or 2 or 3 times over the course of a couple weeks, just to show me that yes, you are involved in thinking about the material in the class. So that's class participation. There is on the syllabus, and as you can see from the Moodle page, there is a sort of suggested pacing for yourself. On the syllabus or on the Moodle page, I do not yet have assignments, the 2 assignments posted. That's on purpose. That's because I want you to just, learn the material, think about the material, and exactly, don't worry about the assignment until I send it to you, and you'll have ample time to complete the assignments and get them in by the due dates for the midterm and for the final paper. Now, the rest of the material on the syllabus, I don't think I need to discuss. I've tried to go through the important part of the syllabus that is most relevant to our class. And again, take a look at the Moodle page. You'll see there the syllabus. You'll see that there's some videos to start watching on Plato, and then Aristotle, and then Aquinas. And so I'm hoping that you will email me if you have any questions or comments, but that concludes our introduction to the syllabus for the ethics course. Good luck with your semester.